Okay, so let's go start playing with these things. So letter A, we need to find the derivative of f of x equals sine x. Wow, that was ugly. Sine x plus cosine x. And this is the sum or difference rule, meaning I'm going to take the derivative. It's kind of like the power rule. I'm going to take the derivative of the first one by itself and take the derivative of the second one by itself. So the derivative of sine, we just found out, is cosine. And the derivative of cosine is negative sine. So it's that simple. There's your derivative of that function. Okay, here we basically use the power rule, I guess you would say. We really use the sum or difference, but we'll call it the power rule because that's kind of what it most looks like. All right, so for letter B, we have y equals the cosine of t squared. And what I'm looking at right now is I see a function of t squared inside another function of the cosine. So function in a function says I'm going to be using the chain rule. So to get the derivative, I need the derivative of cosine, which we know is negative sine t squared, okay? And we have to multiply that by the inside function, the derivative of the inside function, which is 2t. So I see the derivative as negative 2t sine of t squared. Negative 2t sine of t squared. Great. All right. Letter C. We have y equals 1 over the tangent of x. And you've heard me say this before. This normally would look like the quotient rule to me, but I don't like the quotient rule, so I'm going to actually rewrite this as the tangent of x to the negative 1 power so that I can apply the chain rule. All right, so what that tells me I'm going to do is I'll bring my exponent down, so that's negative 1, tangent x, decrease it by 1, so that becomes negative 2. And then I have to multiply by the derivative of the inside. And we just found out that the derivative of tangent x is 1 over cosine squared x. So when I simplify this whole thing, I've got negative 1 over tangent squared x times cosine squared x. Okay? And last but not least, letter D, we've got f of x equals sine cubed of 2x. Now, remember, the way you can actually write this is sine of 2x cubed. If you write it that way, it's more obvious that it's the chain rule, but it's actually a double chain rule. We have this function inside this function inside this function. So this is a double chain rule. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do to find the derivative is take the derivative of the whole thing. So that's 3 sine 2x. And then I'm going to multiply, 2x squared, right? All right, and then I'm going to multiply by the derivative of the inside. Well, what's the derivative of sine? Well, that's cosine of 2x. And then I have to multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is 2. So when I simplify this all out, I'm actually getting the 2 times the 3 gets me a 6. And I get sine squared 2x cosine 2x. That's your derivative. And I apologize for giggling, but Marty is in the background snoring up a storm. So apparently I bore him. All right, we're going to do lots more examples before we sign off today, okay? So the next video is going to be some more examples.